Economic crises in Europe, a historical perspective. Europe, with its rich and diverse history, has long been a continent where economic crises have shaped the political, social, and financial landscape. From medieval famines to the financial collapses of the 21st century, Europe has faced numerous economic challenges that have tested its resilience and influenced the global economy. Understanding these crises in a historical context not only provides insight into how Europe has dealt with adversity, but also offers lessons for addressing future economic challenges. The medieval and early modern periods: plague, famine, and war. The first major economic disruptions in Europe came in the form of agricultural crises, plague, and war. During the medieval period, Europe's agrarian economy was highly susceptible to environmental factors. The Little Ice Age, a period of cooler temperatures from the 14th to the 19th century, led to crop failures, famines, and food shortages. The Black Death of 1347 to 1351, which wiped out an estimated one-third of Europe's population, had a profound impact on the economy. While the immediate economic effects of the plague were devastating, it also led to a shortage of labor, which in turn increased wages and improved living standards for survivors. However, the economic recovery was slow, and the social upheaval contributed to the rise of inflation and political instability. War also played a significant role in shaping Europe's economic history. The Hundred Years' War, 1337 to 1453, between England and France devastated both countries economically, causing heavy taxation, disruption of trade, and widespread destruction of infrastructure. Similarly, the Napoleonic Wars in the early 19th century left many European economies in ruin. The costs of warfare were enormous, and many nations borrowed heavily from banks to fund military campaigns, leading to national debt crises that persisted long after the wars ended. The Industrial Revolution and the rise of economic instability. The Industrial Revolution, beginning in the late 18th century, brought about unprecedented economic growth and transformation across Europe. However, it also created significant social and economic imbalances. While industrialization led to the rise of a powerful bourgeoisie class, it also led to the exploitation of workers, widespread poverty, and increasing urbanization. The rapid expansion of factories and industries created bubbles of economic growth, but these bubbles were often fragile and prone to collapse. The first major industrial economic crisis in Europe occurred in 1825, known as the Panic of 1825. It was the result of a speculative bubble in investments, particularly in Latin American loans. When the bubble burst, it led to widespread bankruptcies and a severe recession in the UK and other European countries. The economic downturn prompted the Bank of England to intervene and stabilize the economy. But the crisis exposed the vulnerabilities of financial markets during periods of rapid industrialization. The 19th century also saw the rise of financial speculation and banking crises. The collapse of major European banks, such as the collapse of the Austrian bank Creditanstalt in 1931, led to a global economic downturn. In the lead-up to World War I, many European countries faced massive debts as a result of financing the war. This led to inflation and currency devaluation, making it difficult for governments to manage their economies effectively in the post-war years. The Great Depression and its aftermath. One of the most significant and far-reaching economic crises in Europe occurred in the 1930s, during the Great Depression. The global economic downturn, triggered by the 1929 stock market crash in the United States, quickly spread to Europe, where it had devastating consequences. Unemployment soared, industrial production fell sharply, and many banks collapsed under the strain of bad loans. Countries such as Germany were particularly hard hit. The Weimar Republic, already struggling with the burdens of war reparations from World War I, faced hyperinflation, mass unemployment, and widespread poverty. The economic instability contributed to the rise of extremist political movements, most notably the Nazi Party led by Adolf Hitler. As the political and social fabric of Europe unraveled, the Great Depression played a crucial role in setting the stage for World War II. In Britain, the Great Depression led to a series of reforms aimed at stabilizing the economy. the government abandoned the gold standard and devalued the pound to make British exports more competitive. Meanwhile, in France and other parts of Europe, economic hardship led to strikes, protests, and political instability. The lessons of the Great Depression influenced economic policy in Europe for decades, particularly the importance of government intervention in times of crisis. Post-World War II recovery and the rise of the European Union. The aftermath of World War II was another defining moment in European economic history. The destruction of infrastructure, industries, and cities across Europe left many countries in ruins. However, the post-war recovery period also marked a time of unprecedented economic growth, largely driven by U.S. aid through the Marshall Plan, which helped rebuild Europe's economies. The creation of the European Economic Community, EEC, in 1957, later evolving into the European Union, EU, was a direct response to the economic devastation caused by two world wars. The formation of the EU was designed to create a single market, reduce trade barriers, and promote economic cooperation among European nations. The post-war period saw the rise of social welfare states, with governments in countries like Sweden and the UK introducing comprehensive social security systems and public services. Despite the rapid recovery, Europe faced economic crises in the form of oil shocks in the 1970s, which led to stagflation, a combination of high inflation and unemployment. In many European countries, the 1973 oil crisis, caused by an embargo imposed by OPEC, sent shockwaves through global economies and triggered a period of economic instability. In response, European countries shifted toward austerity measures, reducing government spending and attempting to stabilize their economies. The European debt crisis of the 21st century. The most recent and ongoing economic crisis in Europe is the European debt crisis, which began in the late 2000s. The crisis was triggered by the global financial crisis of 2007 to 2008, which exposed vulnerabilities in the banking systems of several European countries, especially those in the Eurozone. Greece, in particular, faced an acute debt crisis as the government's borrowing levels reached unsustainable levels. The crisis spread to other southern European countries, including Portugal, Spain, and Italy, leading to fears of a breakup of the Eurozone and a potential collapse of the European Union. In response, the European Central Bank, ECB, and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, intervened with massive bailouts for struggling countries. But these interventions came with strict austerity measures. These austerity policies, which included tax hikes and cuts to public spending, led to widespread protests and political instability in countries like Greece and Spain. The crisis exposed the flaws in the European financial system, particularly the lack of fiscal coordination among member states. The debt crisis also highlighted the challenges of having a common currency, the euro, without a common fiscal policy. While the euro was meant to promote economic integration, the debt crisis demonstrated that economic disparities between member states could lead to severe consequences. Lessons learned and looking ahead. The history of economic crisis in Europe offers several important lessons. First, the interconnectedness of economies means that global financial shocks can have far-reaching consequences, as seen in both the Great Depression and the 2008 financial crisis. Second, while financial stability is crucial, economic crises can also prompt innovation and reform, as seen in the post-war recovery and the creation of the European Union. However, the political and social effects of economic crises cannot be overlooked. Crises often lead to social unrest, the rise of populism, and the erosion of trust in political institutions. The rise of extremism during the Great Depression and the ongoing political fragmentation in Europe today are reminders that economic hardship can have serious political consequences. As Europe faces new challenges, including the effects of Brexit, climate change, and the digital economy, it is clear that the lessons of the past will continue to shape the continent's economic policies and its role in the global economy. By learning from past crises, Europe can better navigate future economic challenges, fostering stability and cooperation for future generations. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.